Now, venue of the 13th edition of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Colloquium in commemoration of his 70th birthday anniversary is taking on a new look as preparations for the event gradually wraps up. This year's edition will examine emerging global development issues and the importance of good governance for Nigeria. The event will be presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari as chairman, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu as the chief host. Professor Olufemi Bamiro, a former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, is the keynote speaker, and he is expected to engage on the central theme, pivoting Nigeria into the new world order, imperatives of good governance. This year's edition holds today at the Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has joined the members, leaders and chieftains of the All Progressives Congress to celebrate with the national leader of the party and former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as he turns 70 today. The special advisor to the president, media and publicity, Femi Adesina, in a statement said that the president rejoiced with the party's national leader and prayed to God to give Bola Tinubu the strength, good health and wisdom to keep serving the nation and humanity. President Buhari affirms the contributions of the party stalwarts to the political, economic and social development of the country, setting a standard in leadership, governance and philanthropy. The president salutes Bola Tinubu's courage, resilience, selflessness and nobility in always placing the welfare and unity of the nation above self. All right. Joining me in the studio is Dr. John Hekundaya, a Harvard-certified leadership strategist and consultant, and joining via Zoom from Enugu is PR consultant Ambrose Igboke. Gentlemen, good morning. It's good to have you join me.
Mike, good morning.
Good morning. And thank you for joining us as well, Ambrose.
Good morning, Mike.
Great. Now, Dr. Kundaya, let's start from the studio. When it comes to leadership, you are a strategist in this regard, and a lot of people say that everything rises and falls on leadership. If we make reference to the first world or second world and third world, depending on whatever stage of development, everybody's going to say leaders did this right and leaders did that wrong, whatever the thing is. Leadership is always used to qualify some of these things. Now, this is a theme, good governance and leadership, that surrounds this year's Bola Ahmed Tinubu Colloquium. How central is the theme of leadership to this colloquium?
Leadership is key, just like you started. That statement is ascribed to John Maxwell. Everything rises or falls on leadership. You see, but people have come to look at leadership, which I want to correct as a scholar, as a researcher. Leadership does not really connote leader or somebody in a position. Okay. Leadership is a process, or leadership is a joining involving participants who could be leader and followers. So it's working together. So it's like you have three concentric circles. You have the leaders, the followers, you have the context. If I'm inside a vehicle, my driver is driving me, obviously in that process he leads. When we get to the office, I lead. So there's a context. When we talk about governance, we talk about leadership, you see. So it's actually involving both, you see. So followers have a great part to play in ensuring that we have good governance, in ensuring that we elect the right leader in position. So this is my take there. As a followership scholar, I did much of my study on the followership aspect. It's like the two sides of a coin. You have a coin, you see. So you have the follower on one side, you have the leader on one side. You see, but most time when things go wrong, we pay most attention to the other side, to the side of the leaders, and say, oh, the leader has done this, the leader has done that. You see, but what part? Are we be able to give the necessary feedback as followers? Are we be able to critique? Some will say, well, they don't allow us to speak. Are we be able to make some signal or body language that we connote that these people are not happy, these people are sad. What can we do? You know, and that makes up leadership. Followers, leaders, acting in a context, knowing they are going on a journey, knowing they have, you know, a goal to accomplish together.
Yes.
So leadership is about working together to achieve a mutually acceptable outcome.
Okay, Ambrose, let me come to you on this. The point there is, when we talk about the issue of leadership and followership, Dr. Kundaya here is saying that they are very related. In that symbiotic relationship, we also know that if you're talking about a leader, then there must be some people that the person is leading, and there must be followers as well. But in Nigeria, we often talk about leaders. Let's talk a little bit about followers in this context. Are we good followers, really, when we talk about, point fingers to all of the things that are going well on one hand or things that are not going well on the other hand? Please talk to us from that window.
First of all leaders emerge from the followers. So the root cause of bad leadership or good leadership is dependent on the ethos and the ideology that drives the society. If the ideology that drives the society is not a progressive ideology, then the leader that will emerge from the followers and the followers that will follow the leader will also not be good. But if the other side, the ethos that runs the society is good, then the leaders and the followers will maintain a good direction. Now, having said that, we have all kinds of history. I'm a student of history, and I know that some kind of leaders have emerged that are very different from the ordinary in all different societies. But again, the good governance is dependent mostly on the leader. On the leader, because the leader provides the vision, the leader provides the policies, the leader provides the direction, the leader provides the inspiration, and the leader provides the drive for a society to move forward. Let's not go too far. Let's look at our Nigerian system. Let's look at the NAFDAC as a body that regulates things. When the late Professor Dora Akunyili became the Director General of NAFDAC, NAFDAC that has been existing suddenly had a bite, suddenly was enforcing regulations, suddenly was making arrests, and suddenly became a household name in Nigeria because of what the leadership that Professor Dora Akunyili provided. Right now, we are witnessing one. The NDLEA has been there for a while. And then all of a sudden, a new chairman was appointed. And then we started seeing arrests here and there, even high-profile ones. Let's look at our Lagos scenario. We could all see what happened in Lagos, the transformation that occurred, for example, between 1999 and some time ago. For example, there was a time in Lagos that you cannot ride on a bicycle, on a motorcycle, on some highways, and it was fully enforced. Mike, you and I know the situation of Oshodi those days under the bridge, when we said Oshodi those days, how it was a metaphor for disorganization. But a leader came and cleared that place and made it and planted flowers, and so many things happened like that in our time in Lagos here. So the leader provided in all the scenarios I've mentioned. And then let us go outside the country. Singapore is always used as a metaphor for a progressive nation that wants to deal with what it has to do. China too, has to come out from the doldrums of communism, and today they are a superpower. In all these scenarios, something is clear. The leader provided the direction. The leader had to enforce the ethos, because we must have an ethos. And where they didn't have an ethos, like the Singapore situation, Lee Kuan Yew created the ethos, created the ideology, and ensure that every citizen, agreed. Whether it was not even this time around, it was not whether you want to agree or not. So there was a fundamental tampering on the freedom to choose or to accept, because in Singapore, a lot of things were dictatorial. So we can see that leaders have to provide the vision and drive it, then the followers have to do. So the role of the follower is to hold the leader accountable, to put the leader on check, to raise issues where, in case the leader is derailing, to support the leader with other things that will engender good policies, to be good followers and not to be docile. Because the problem we have most of the time is that we are docile. We have docile citizenry, where we expect maybe the angels from above to come and fight our cause, or where we see those who are fighting the cause for the masses as fools and charlatans. Meanwhile, the fight is for the masses. The masses themselves don't want to fight for their rights. The masses don't want improved education. The masses are docile. Any crumbs thrown at them is accepted by them. Therefore, they are not good followers. Go to the constituencies, go to the senatorial districts, the states, even at the federal level. Followers are not even telling the leaders the truth. They're bootlick, so they're koto. They do anything, they pre-sync the leader. And therefore, the leader thinks he's now infallible. That is the situation we have. The leader thinks he cannot do right. Even when you do a critique or criticize leadership in Nigeria, it is seen as an attack, and that you don't like the leader. And then there's this religious aspect of it that makes followers want to koto, which is, leadership comes from God. Okay. Leadership comes from men. Leadership comes from processes.
Okay,
when we say
it's good to know. Yes, we'll come back to you shortly, Ambrose. Let me come to the studio, Dr. Kundayo. The point there is, he mentioned something. That leadership comes from God. We often have this, slogans, and these statements are very regular with us. Where we say leadership comes from God and all of that. Now, talk to us. Basically, some people say leadership or leaders are made.
Are not born. Others said leaders are born and not made. Depending, I wouldn't know, but make us understand. You are a researcher in that regard. Yeah. But tell us the context to which all of these fall. It's both. Okay. Leaders are made, leaders are born. Leadership is learnable. Okay. It's something that can be learned. I think it was Professor Barbara Kellerman, of Harvard University, that said this, that look at the U.S. military and look at how great generals emerge. You see, look at the medical field. You see, they are taught, they are mentored, and they come up. You see, so what makes you to think that leaders cannot come up, be mentored, that leadership cannot be learned? So leadership can be learned. You see, but there's an aspect I want to actually speak to concerning what my colleague said. Now, he said followers are docile. And he was talking about Singapore. Now, by the grace of God, 4 years I live in Singapore. I mean, I live there, not just that I went there for holiday. I live there with my family, living with me 3 years. Now, their own context, because many Nigerians will say, Singapore. You cannot be comparing Singapore context with Nigeria context. Now, I'm happy he said dictatorial. Singapore is not really a democracy to actually compare with Nigeria, because when Lee Kuan Yew, before he died, we say something, even liaison long now that is there at the prime minister. You see, you don't contest it. You see, the word is law. Now we're in a democracy. So let's talk about the democratic context. But before you continue the democracy context of it, the point there is, we at the point where Lee Kuan Yew was there, where his word was law, and transforming Singapore, was a same period of time we were under military. And we ruled by decree at the time too. It was unfortunate. It was unfortunate, Mike, that we didn't have. If I want to say this, if to say Murtala Mohammed military rule and linger for about 3, 4, 5 years, some things will have been ingrained into our system. But just that, 18 months or whatever couldn't really make, because discipline was already coming, some things about corruption were being dealt with, a lot of things, education. In fact, it was because of his policy on education that made somebody like me to get to the university. Because he came here and said, what is happening? He slashed educational fees down. I would have gone to, I was already on a modern school. It used to be modern school in Western State at that time. That was what made me to go to Yemekun Grammar School at Korea, and from there to University of Ibadan, now Obafemi Awolowo University. And then I have a PhD today. I would have been somewhere else, maybe doing one mechanic or whatever. You see, that's what we are saying about good leadership. You can see, but all leaders will emerge from followers. That is the point that I want my colleague to know. And he said Nigerians are docile, and that is true. But now we are in a democracy. Now we are looking at 2023. It's near us now. You see, but many of us, we are still looking at puerile, pedestrian argument. We are still talking about age. We want you to lead us. Youth that even you can see the pedigree that he has nothing to offer. So somebody that has not been able to even have a company and make sure that company is run profitably for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You see, so and that person say, I want to be president. You are not even saying I want to be local government councillor or chairman. Start from somewhere now. Let us see you. Let's see your pedigree.
So you can groom yourself.
You can groom
make
yourself.
your mistakes at that level.
Yes,
and improve on them.
And then improve, and then we can see you that, oh, this person I'll be doing something here. Like I was reading, was in Bayelsa State, a particular woman that just rose to become a councillor, and she saw the need that we don't have, it's only footbridge you have been using around here. I don't know whether you remember that story. We should have a footbridge or whatever. I mean, we should have a concrete culvert. And the money was not enough, but she rallied. She
mobilized.
The governor supported, other people supported. She had. Now, if that woman is going to the House of Rep, and I'm in that constituency, I will not just vote. I will canvass. I will campaign. For our candidacy. So that's what we are saying. But before that, I want to comment on our followers' docility, which you mentioned is very key because we are in a democracy now. Many people will sit back. Many of my colleagues now who are scholars, they sit back. On the day of election, some of them will not even collect their card. When even some people collect their PVC, they won't even vote. They won't even stay there till the votes are counted. And 2023 is coming now. You can still register. It's a continual registration by INEC. Go and register. Go and participate. It's because democracy we are in now. If there's any bad leader, bad president that emerges in 2023, it's your fault. It's not the fault of President Muhammadu Buhari. Electoral act have been signed, so it's even making rigging difficult. It's making malpractices difficult. So it's not the fault of Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lagos State or Professor Sulum in Borno State or Olufemi in Kaduna. If there's bad governance in Nigeria, it is you and I who are followers, especially the elites now. And I'm on national television. I want to appeal to the elites, the engineers, lawyers, doctors. What are we doing about our members? Now we could see church say, oh, politics and government. Some people are criticizing the church. Why? They are even late. They're supposed to have done this. More supposed to have done this. All the religion, whether traditional, so that we all participate. It's a game of numbers. Okay. And then we now vote out those bad ones. You see, for instance, we having people now who say they want to be president. But we see their pedigree in the last 5 years, 10 years, even some 12 years. What have they offer? And then they will now go and with peanuts and be giving people money or a bag of rice. And then we still keep behind them and we still vote for them. And then after you are now saying bad governance, then it will continue. So we must change the narrative.
All right. Ambrose, let's talk about the issue of consistency. The point there is we are highlighting the personality of Ahmed Tinubu today. And a lot of persons will say that he was governor in the early days of this republic in 1999 to 2007. There were so many other governors as well, but he has remained consistent. What would you say is behind that consistency and what makes him stand out from the others?
Well, I think the consistency dates back before 1999. Remember, he was in the Senate, in the botched in the Republic.
Third Republic.
And then remember that before joining politics, he had a very, well, I say, he was an elite. He was a middle class. He was earning well. He worked in one of the top companies in America, accounting firms, top notch there, Anderson and some others. And then he was an executive in Mobile. So he had a pretty good lifestyle. Many people will not give up that lifestyle for politics. So that is a lesson for a lot of us now. How old was he then? I mean, so a lot of people now, in that age bracket when he started will not leave their jobs, the high-paying jobs in oil companies, in blue-chip companies, in a lot of corporate organizations that are paying them in millions. They won't leave it for the murky water of politics. Well, he left all that, and that is what we talk about follower. He was a follower at that point, and he decided to go into the contest to become a leader. And then he paid dearly for it. It was not a bed of roses. He paid dearly for it. There was a time he had to run into exile. I mean, during the Nadeko days, he joined the movement for Nadeko in pursuing the mandate of June 12 and making sure that the military didn't have their way. These people did all these things, to the danger of their lives. They had to run away. They had to leave their property. They had to move their families from one place to another. And these things we forget so easily. So these people sacrificed a lot, and then came back from exile again and plunged straight on towards making democracy take roots in Nigeria. And then again, when you check the trajectory of the personality of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, you find out also that he had his own style, he had his own ideology. He was not an all-commerce people. He stood in opposition. I mean, he started from 1999. You could say that the main political movement, although it was fairly divided that time among the PDP, APP then, and AD, but he stuck to his gun and has remained since in one political party. The only thing is that he kept transmuting and they kept having alliances, but he has not moved away. And the only few politicians that can achieve that, what he has achieved within that, consistency, and that is a consistent paradigm that youth and politicians have to imbibe. And then when he became the governor, I think a lot of his corporate, earlier corporate experiences helped to play a lot. But he's not the only one that had corporate experience. A lot of people also had corporate experience, and when they come into politics, they become something else. But he brought all that into fore. I mean, one of his interviews, he said that, Lagos State was, the IGR, Internal Generated Revenue, when he took over, was a little bit above 1 billion naira. A state like Lagos. And then he initiated a lot of policies that started making Lagos the envy of everybody. We all used to know Lagos as a place, it's a big former capital of Nigeria. But he involved that and started making Lagos have life of his own. For example, the drive for tax. Before now, tax was not something we take very seriously before he came in Nigeria. But you could see that the tax policies that were created by his government was able to even bring in not only the formal sector, it also brought in the informal sector. I remember then where the LIRS officials, Lagos Internal Revenue officials, used to go around even in the markets, like my 12th market, Ushodi and all those things, to bring in the informal sector into the tax net. And what they were doing that was, okay, since they don't have the formal list, they were able to pay at least, I think, 500 then, I'm not too sure now, per year for their tax. And look at that thing, multiplying into millions. That was a quantum of money that was obtained from that. And then LIRS was now run almost like a corporate entity. And we saw a lot of ingenuity that came in. We had LASA that came in that regulated the signages. We had the one that regulated infrastructure that Joe Ibope ran. Lasmira, that was Lamita. We had Lamata that came up about transportation. We have even the LASMA that came up for, to support, because before LASMA came up, we all had just a portrait of yellow fever, police yellow fever, we used to call them those days, traffic police, and then just a little bit of road safety. So Lagos was a hell of logjam because there was no control of traffic, because the manpower for control of traffic was small. And when LASMA came in, it was able to ameliorate that. Lamata, they went in to bring professionals. That is another thing with the man's personality, Tinubu. He seeks for professionals. He grooms them. Even those who are reluctant, he brings them in, assures them, nurtures them, and makes sure that the examples are people like Fashola, who was practicing in Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who was practicing his law firm quietly. He brought him into politics. I remember the first MD of Lamata, Dr. I think Maberola. He also went to, I think, poach that one from the UK, and the people that set up the tax system also, I think we brought them back home. So he has succeeded in bringing even people back home to contribute their quotas here and
right.
giving them opportunity to shine. So it is consistency. And then I think others should emulate that consistency to make it to build a moving force for generations to come.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambrose, for taking us memory lane and spreading all of that for us to understand, putting things in context. Thank you, Dr. Kundaya. We have just about a minute to go. What do we stand to learn from the leadership style of the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well, one thing I would say is this: that he has a capacity to bring in talents, and we are just where our country is right now. We need, just like Winston Churchill said one time, he said, I use my brain and I combine the brain of 1,000 other people. Nigerians have a lot of people within the country and outside who are doing well. It's all just to annex them. And Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, among all the things that that my colleague enumerated, even much more. You see, one thing that stands him out among all the crop of politicians we have now, I've written about that in my column in the Nation newspaper, is that he has this knack to attract the best. Irrespective of whether you are Igbo or you are Hausa, we can see them in Lagos State in the ESCO. And then you have a leader that has a mind, to generate ideas, to discuss, debate, not just having executive council and then, you are not talking, there's nothing coming, there's no idea coming. So it's such a leader.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. John Kundaya, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ambrose Igboke, thank you very much for your insight on this discussion as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike.